Japanese Yokai 29 selection. Part 1. Ogre leader. Shuden Doji. His kidnappings and robberies shocked ancient Japan. A beautiful boy who rejected women was transformed into an ogre by their curses, eventually becoming the leader of the ogre. The head, which continued to bite it even after it had been cut off, is said to still be enshrined in Kyoto. Nine-tailed fox. Tamamo no Mei. She is a peerless beauty and the incarnation of the nine-tailed fox. She uses her beauty to seduce the emperor and plots to take control of Japan. Although it was defeated, it was transformed into a poisonous stone called the Seisho Seiki. Remains in Tochigi Prefecture to this day. It is said that it is still feared to this day. Ogre God. Otakemaru. He controlled natural disasters, defeated an army of 30,000, and terrorized Japan with his overwhelming strength. Otakemaru was deeply in love with a celestial maiden named Suzuka Gozen. She hated Otakemaru very much, so she used his love to deceive him and defeat him with her lover. Kiss of Death. Yuki Onna. A very famous yokai in Japan. Very beautiful, pale, and there's something sad about her. Men are fascinated by Yuki Onna's fragile aura, which makes them want to protect her. The kiss then drains their vitality and they freeze to death. One theory is that Yuki Onna will let fall in love with her go free. In Love with Bones. Hon Onna. A female yokai born from the resentment and bitterness of love. She usually appears as a skeleton, but to a beguiled man she appears to be very beautiful. To get rid of her grudge, she captivates the man, makes love to him, and steals his vitality. The man is unaware that he is spending the night with a skeleton. The Terror of Water. Kappa. A yokai that lives in rivers and swamps and attacks people. It's a good swimmer and loves cucumbers. It has green skin, a shell on its back, and a dish of water on its head, and loses its strength when it runs out of water. It attacks humans, pulls out their shirikodama from their behinds and eats them, taking their life. The Strongest Race. Oni. Shuden Doji, the leader of the Oni, his subordinate Ibaraki Doji, and the Oni god Otakemaru are all of the Oni race. They have horns on their heads, fangs in their mouths, and iron clubs. Today, Oni are used as synonyms for evil and frightening, and there are many proverbs about them. The Strongest Ability. Tengu. Tengu have both good and evil sides. They have the appearance of a mountain priest, red skin, a long nose, wings on their backs to fly, and supernatural powers. It is well known that Emperor Sutoku, one of the three great vengeful spirits of Japan, became a terrifying Tengu. We will talk about this in another article. Congregation of Vengeful Spirits. Gashidokuro. A giant skeletal yokai the size of a house. The skeleton is made up of the skeletons and grudges of the unburied dead. It is said that if it finds a living person in the middle of the night, it will crush and eat them. It is also said that anyone who sees it will fall ill with an unknown illness. The yokai that sinks ships. Umabozu. A yokai that appears with a huge body, with only its head sticking out of the water and looking down on ships. The details of its face and body are blurred. It suddenly appears in calm seas and tries to attack or capsize ships. It is greatly feared by sailors. Creating Mountains and Lakes. Daidarabachi. A gigantic yokai whose ankles are as high as Mount Fuji. It is said that he transported soil from Shiga Prefecture to create Mount Fuji, and Lake Biwa was formed at the site of the excavation. It is said that the soil that spilled while transporting the soil became mountains all over the country. Mouth on the back of the head. Futakuchi Onna. A yokai born from a curse that caused a child to starve to death by not being given enough food. She has another mouth at the back of her head. Futakuchi Onna has the appearance of a normal woman, but her hair moves like snakes, and she devours food with her back mouth. It is said that her back mouth is always seeking food. It's like a whole body of meat. Nupeppo. A yokai that looks like a lump of flesh with no distinguishable wrinkles on its face or body. Its skin is loose and drooping, and its whole body is soft, like a melting wax doll. It appears especially at night, wandering silently and startling people. One theory is that its flesh is a powerful elixir. countless eyes. Hyakumi, a yokai with the appearance of a lump of flesh and countless eyes all over its body. It is too bright to walk while the sun is out. When it meets a person at night, its eyes all open wide at once, startling them. And one of its eyes pops out and follows the person. It seems there was no end to the number of people who fainted. Preying on men. Jorogumo, a spider yokai in the form of a beautiful woman. It lives in waterfalls, and when a man is enchanted by it, he loses consciousness, the spider's web wraps around his legs, and he is dragged into the pool of the waterfall and eaten. To escape, he must tie the spider's web to a nearby tree. Once possessed, it's the end. Iki, a yokai that possesses people and makes them commit suicide by hanging. When encountered, it possesses people for no reason and impulsively makes them commit suicide by hanging. It is said that the possessed person cannot escape the clutches unless they create a substitute. Just looking at it will kill you. Wa Nudu, a yokai that appears as a human face in the middle of a burning ox-cart wheel. It wanders the town every night and steals the soul of anyone who sees it. Once you encounter it, it's over. It is said that if you stick a certain talisman on your door, no one will be able to get close. Japanese umbrella. Karakasa Kozo, a yokai whose soul resides in a Japanese Karakasa umbrella. It hops around on one leg with one eye, frightening people. It sometimes sticks out its long tongue. A yokai that often appears in manga and anime. Japanese lantern. Chochin Obaki, a yokai whose soul resides in an old lantern. The lantern splits into two parts, and the split part becomes a mouth with a long tongue sticking out. It is said that sometimes foxes and raccoon dogs transform into these to frighten people. Japanese sandals. Bakei Zori, a yokai in which a spirit resides in a mistreated Zori. They come in various shapes, with some having arms and legs, one eye, and a mouth. They are said to frighten and play pranks on the owner who mistreated them, in order to get revenge. Blood-sucking. Nobusuma, a yokai that looks like a flying squirrel and lives in the forest. It eats nuts and sucks the blood of living creatures. It glides through the sky and attacks people, covering their eyes and mouths, eats the fire of people's torches, and spits the fire it eats from its mouth, making it feared. Trick people. Kawauso, a yokai that takes the form of an otter to deceive people by disguising itself as a human. It disguises itself as a severed head and gets caught in a fishing net, or calls the name of people passing by on a deserted road, and enjoys watching them get scared and run away. Rubbing up against people. Tsuneko Suri, a yokai that takes the form of a dog or cat. It is said to appear on rainy nights, and when walking down a dark street, it will pass through by rubbing between your legs. People who are passed through by it will be startled or fall over, but other than that it will not do anything. Ghost of the Sea. Kainen Hoshi, the yokai of someone who lost their life in a drowning accident. In some regions, it is said that on a certain day, this yokai appears in a bucket from the sea, and anyone who sees it will lose their life. In those regions, people are not allowed to go outside on that day, and spend the day shivering inside their homes. Don't laugh with it. Hyo-sube, a yokai that looks like a monkey or a kappa. It laughs when it meets people, and if you laugh with it, you will get a high fever and die. It is said that just looking at it makes you feel sick and spreads disease. Bringer of disaster. Ushi Oni, a yokai with the head of a cow and the body of an oni or a spider. It is said to live in the sea. In some regions, it is said to take the form of a woman holding a baby. It presses the baby it is holding onto the target, making the baby heavy and immobile before eating it. It is said that once it is found, it cannot escape. Preventing epidemics. Ama-Bii, a yokai that makes predictions about good harvests and epidemics. When an epidemic occurs, Ama-Bii advises people to make a wish by drawing a picture of himself and showing it to the people. It is still fresh in our memory that pictures of Ama-Bii have been circulated in recent years. A powerful helper. Yama-Otoko, a hairy, large-bodied yokai that lives in the mountains. It is said to be friendly to humans and will help with tasks such as carrying luggage. It won't accept money if you try to thank it, but it will accept alcohol. It can't communicate verbally, but it can communicate accurately with gestures. Becoming rich in one generation. Kanedama. A yokai in the shape of a golden ball. It is said that a kanedama will suddenly roll at your feet on a dark street, and if anyone who finds it brings it home, that family will become rich. However, it must be preserved in its original form, and if it is tampered with or damaged, the family will perish. There are many unknown theories, but the truth is within you. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more Japanese yokai, please subscribe and click the good button.